You think if everybody gets vaccinated, we could go back to the other room?
Close together.
Well, I say as long as everybody.
last night too, so I can't breathe that.
Yeah.
We don't have any heated arguments. We gotta stay in here.
Spit on trousers.
Yeah.
Okay, well, we ready to get going? Pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So the only thing on the agenda is to go over the battery storage law. Just that. Lee just sent me an email, but I think it's more for information, right?
Yeah.
We can go over that. You care if we put it out next week or next month?
Yeah. So no more than.
Just about a new law that somebody's proposing. So you got handed out this model law, right? And model permit, which we can do, and then battery energy storage systems electrical checklist. So should we start with the model law? Okay. I didn't bring my current solar zoning, but this thing says this process would take us through the minimum submittal requirement. So apparently these are the minimums that they recommend. to seek legal advice from attorneys before enacting battery energy storage laws. That's what number 4 says.
What's that? Just these stretches.
So the first thing, authority, we have to select one. One of those, seems like the first one is probably, yeah, and then also, should we include in section 10 of the municipal home rule? So do the town law one and then the whole home rule. And then we got to put our town where it shows the option. Number 2D is that looks like they give you the option to refer to the comprehensive plan. We want to refer to that. That way they put that in parentheses.
On the previous page, they said something about you should change your comprehensive plan. Comprehensive plan outlining goals and policies. On number 5,
Do you think we have that covered in our comprehensive plan that refers to the green energy initiatives and the wording we got in there?
Oh, we have to dig it up and read it.
probably as much as it does to the urban law.
Yeah.
Right.
I don't think there was even a battery storage in
We didn't know what
217.
that was.
Yeah.
No, but the green, I think there's a comment in there, comprehensive plan about being full green type. But I really don't think it comes close. about the size definition between tier 1 and tier 2? 600 kilowatt hours. Difference between a home-based system or I think it's determining or the defining amount that determines whether or not it's tier 1, tier 2, whether or not it's a home or home business or to a like the difference between residential and utility. But there's a lot of, I would say, farms that would do them. If this takes off, I'm thinking panics, to get rid of demand charges by getting, something happens with demand charges are mitigated or taken away by having their own storage. 600 might not be enough. Or even businesses. Well, we don't have any new businesses in there. I was thinking Elgin, but we don't have anything. It would be farms, really. It would be, especially the larger farms. Or how, a typical house is a rough number of 25 kilowatt hours a day. So it's way more than for a house, definition. If you wanted to put a battery in your house, I would think you wanted to get one for either to augment your solar or to use it as a backup instead of getting a backup generator. You're not on a gas line, some of us are. And you don't want to hook up to propane or something. You want to go battery if they get cheap enough, say. How many days do you need? 3 or 4 days. That should be more than you need to keep a house going, which is only a couple hundred kilowatt hours. So I'm thinking for housing, it's 600 more than enough. But a farm one, a few days of backup might not be enough.
They're gonna be exempt, the farm gonna be exempt for the ag markets anyway?
Unless we put something in there.
You're saying that the 600 kilowatt hour one would not be, might not be enough for a farm, right? And that would take a farm, if a farm wanted to have one bigger than 600, they'd have to go through everything that a commercial one would require. Right?
That's what it seems like. Unless we put something in there that exempts them.
Well, we're gonna say that they can solar.
Well, there's a business like Stone. Tom, I mean, only businesses. Stoneworks, okay, I mean, you guys are power intensive there.
Yep.
Certain times of year, especially for demand charges. It might come up with a thing where you guys install a battery system to take care of all the surges. You get away from having to pay demand charges. It would be significant. Pay for itself, over 5 to 10 years to pay for itself. Say there's incentives for doing it. Which they are, incentives still there for going solar and for the battery. It's all lumped in together. It's 35% state tax credits.
Well, in 10 or 15 years, the price of the batteries will decrease so much that becomes.
Yeah, it may not be that long either.
Yeah.
Where I don't know what your power usage there is. If you're just looking for just surge demands, like day-to-day operations, probably it'll fall within 600 kilowatt hours. If you wanted there to back you up in case the power goes down. You have backup generators there?
We do have a backup generator, we can take it where we need to.
It's more like a,
Diesel generator.
yeah, but it's on wheels, right?
Yeah.
Maybe it's
So, on this thing, if we want to go on to it, are we in agreement that we're gonna adopt this model law just with our revisions? Is that kind of like,
It seemed reasonable.
I'm for that.
Yeah.
That's what Alabama did.
I can't see started from scratch.
I was looking for that spot where we said that, farm, how we said that, the farm ones, in our solar. Does that matter? Or are we gonna leave it the way it is?
so right now we're down under definitions, page 7, right?
Yeah.
We're talking about A and B, tier 1.
Yeah.
Tier 2.
Who was the one that split it differently than 600? Where was the one that they split it differently than 600? We had 3 tiers.
That was the old law.
That was the old, yeah.
It wasn't, oh yeah, it was the old law, and there was a town had it in there then. Yeah.
Yeah, the old law had
Yep.
broken down 40, 80. Depending on the battery type. Kilowatt hours.
You can put multiple. Maybe you could put more than one.
More than one permit.
Well, I think
Tier
you can,
one.
you can leave the definitions the same, because that's their definition. Down to precisely, really, that's going to exclude or include all of the.
There's some language in there that gives them an option.
What, where the farms?
You're using it for your own use, not selling it.
Right.
Things like that.
Yeah, again, that would be part of the language.
Tier 1.
You're not doing this for commercial. Well, you're doing it for your own commercial value, but they're selling these.
I think they threw out putting them together by saying one or more devices assembled together and then throwing in the systems that have an aggregate energy capacity of less than kind of lumps them together.
Well, somebody already covered it.
Oh, here's in the solar law under 350-114, what we got right now. E, it says notwithstanding any other provision of this local law, any solar energy system installed on a farm and designated to serve only that farm shall only require a building permit for systems under 50 kW. Ag farm installed solar energy systems of 50 kW or more shall require a permit, building permit, etc. So we had 25 was our limit on solar for the, to go to a USSCS, but we took the farms up to 50. So you want to make, you want to have another tier in there? Just say that farms are good for 1,000 or something?
It seems like you just added tier 1. Which is making,
Oh, just make tier 1,000
Just,
for across the board?
you said, you keep it at 600.
Exception.
Expanding. On the other hand, leaving it at 600 kilowatt hours is going to be fine for the foreseeable future. Someone.
Still modify if we need to. Right?
Yeah, 5 years from now.
Everybody all right with that?
Yep.
Yeah, because we start modifying it, somewhere it's gonna remember that, and then it's gonna make the whole thing look like a catch.
Cool. Before we move off of that, I wanted to go back to D, statement of purpose. And D says to create synergy between battery energy storage system development and the reason they got that in parentheses, I think, is because they want us to put our own words in there. So we just want to put in other green energy generators in town, or do we not want to be specific to green energy?
Well, that would kind of tie into the comprehensive plan. If you stated that.
Yep. And for D, for Alabama, they said to allow battery storage of energy generated within the town. Just simple. To allow for battery storage of energy generated in the town. So
We could just put in something like, and to be consistent with goals. Community pursuits within the comprehensive plan. And to be consistent with the goals of our comprehensive plan. Shorten it up even more. Or green energy goals. Consistent with our comprehensive.
yeah, this is just a purpose. It's really not. It's just basic statement. So
Just get rid of all of that and just say consistent with our comprehensive plan. Then you can float whatever's in the
Yeah.
comprehensive plan. You want
That's
to
a good idea.
specific to any.
mhm. The other goals of the comprehensive plan. Okay. Got that, Lee? That definitions that we got to refer to this to the 350 is the number we have for our solar law. So would this be 351? Is that right?
Where's that? Oh, and the definition as used in this article.
Yeah. I think it's section for us. I think it's section 351. Because we got solar. Solar starts out 350-112 representing 10. So, is our current zoning? I didn't bring my book. Can I borrow your book? Our wind is 350 also. Oh, okay. So the wind ends at 350, 108. And then the solar starts at 350, 112. So we can, the solar ends at 350, 122.
123.
123?
Yeah, because you something about the host agreement.
Oh, we added that. So we might as well leave a few spaces in there and
Right, that's 200.
350, 200. So section 350, 200. Is there anything else on that page 7?
So we're jumping at page 9.
Or they,
Anybody have anything that's that?
well, this is the only thing that, question I have is occupied community buildings. I mean, we take on faith, you know what they mean by all this. Any building in occupancy groups, A, B, E, I, R, whatever that, what's that? Somebody comes and asks me, well, you guys put this together, what is it? I wouldn't know. What is it? International. Oh, international. We're taking on faith, that's correct, I guess.
Yeah, I don't know. Have to get, what occupied community buildings we have in this town besides this one and the fire hall? About it, isn't it?
Well, it says including but not limited to, um, houses of worship. That would be limited, it would, apartments.
Oh, okay. So the churches and the apartments that are in town would apply too, right?
Mhm. Well, it's going to the lawyer, right?
They say to.
All right, well, let him figure it out.
Well, we can just keep that in mind, whatever they're probably referring somewhere, because occupied community building, and when we get to that point, see, it doesn't matter.
Right. I'm sure when Lance goes over it, he'll decide if it's something to do with it.
I mean, it's there for defining what occupied community building is. But if you wanna keep it layman's terms, you know, so that we know what that is, we should just say any building, including, but not limited to things like schools, colleges, daycares, hospitals, public libraries, theaters. And leave it at that, you don't even put all that in there. As far as group A, B, E, I, R. It's obviously something relative to a city environment.
Not necessarily.
Really?
I would
I
leave it
don't
in
know what
there.
it is, so.
Well, I would leave it in there because unless somebody looks it all up and
Yeah.
lets us know.
Anyway, I don't want to get hung up on this. Probably should.
Well, where it refers to it later is under noise. I think we leave it. Especially since we have.
What's that?
Especially since we can't define the time.
These guys in Alabama changed that. They changed participating property. They made it simpler. And they also identified what UL is too.
But it says the only place the non-community building is referred to, or occupied community building, is in the noise section. And it says right in there, non-participant resident or occupied community building. So instead of changing the definition here, change its purpose, create around the law. Or leave the purpose the same in the law to spell out and insert it.
So somewhere later in here, they use this definition, occupied community building,
Yes,
in reference to noise
yes,
conditions.
yes.
So again, all we have to do is define what occupied community building means for our town. We don't need to reference all this building occupancy group. So just wanted to.
Well, this says a Class A multiple dwelling is a multiple dwelling that is occupied for permanent residence purposes. This class shall include tenements, flat houses. So yeah, it is city, but apartment houses, kitchenette apartments. So it could apply to something here. So that's a Class A.
You're looking up international building code.
I'm looking at New York State building code.
Well, I just looked at the international building codes. Group B, is a building or structure or portion thereof for office, professional, or service type transactions, including storage of records. Building or tenant space used for assembly purposes that fewer than 50 persons, they can reconsider group B occupancy. Group E is 12 or less, but it's a school. By 6 or more persons of any kind for education purposes. So I think everything that includes but not limited to is in that definition below that. So IBC is just defining how many people are in the group of all these places of worship, public buildings. Based on the 3 I can look up. Those are what they just, all they do is change that.
but it does give a little bit more of a definition on each one, so, yeah, so it should stay in there, I think. Is it gonna hurt?
You got that, John, so you can explain that when somebody asks you?
Well, I'm no BE.
But we're gonna have to ask Siri.
If they ask for I and R, I'll say Steve knows.
Yeah, there you go.
Oh, I can look that up too.
Like I said, I'm up on that.
So, you good with that one then?
Yeah.
Good. So the participating property, the model law talks about monetary compensation to the landowner from the battery storage system owner. In Alabama, they took that out, all about the compensation. So participating property in the model law says that it has to provide for payment of monetary compensation.
That's a definition of a
Participating property, and then Alabama took out the piece that says you have to have compensation. So that would mean that the way they wrote the model law, whoever was a participating property would have to be receiving a payment. So I think that means that if you had to go through somebody's property with an underground electric line to get to the battery storage facility, that would be a participating property. But do we want to require that there's compensation involved?
Read the one out, man, though.
They say, Alabama says a battery energy storage system host property or property that has an agreement or lease or is not having battery storage related improvements constructed on it.
Sounds like you forgot to put some more words in there. You're in the middle of a sentence, so you didn't finish it.
In Alabama?
Yeah. It's participating property, okay.
We didn't, in our solar, we didn't identify what participating property was.
A battery energy storage system host property. Or a property that has an agreement or lease, but is not having battery storage related improvements constructed on it.
Yeah.
So you don't have to have the equipment on your property. You consider it part of it. I think that's what we're trying to say here. If you have an agreement or a lease, you won't have equipment on your property, you still consider it.
Participating property. Yeah. I would think that it would be up to the leaseholder in the energy storage system, whoever. If he wants, they want monetary we shouldn't have to dictate that it would be a monetary
Doesn't that sound like what the
compensation.
model law is saying, that
Yeah,
they're recommending there's compensation?
Yeah.
Always. And I don't know,
I don't agree with that.
You don't?
Because it's under the definitions. So they're saying you can have a lease agreement, you can be giving money, but just from a definition standpoint, you're participating property,
right.
regardless. So, like you said, a right of way or easement across there, whether they give me cash or that, I don't think it's mandatory that they do it, but if they are getting cash or they have a lease agreement, just from a definition standpoint, you're participating.
No, they should be negotiating.
Correct,
between
we're not gonna
themselves.
negotiate.
No,
I just think that's what the definition is.
I was trying to find, I think, didn't the wind zoning just, when they changed the wind zoning, didn't they add this wording? Because in our current wind zoning, we don't have participating. I was just wondering if we had, if the new wind zoning is on the website here.
Yeah, I'm just looking at, it's just the definition, so if you get money, you're participating, it's not like we're getting, this is under definition. So if I have an agreement, and I get paid, then I consider participating. But, different than participating, friends of the wind, like if they were gonna close and they sign up.
What if you have an agreement and you're not getting paid?
Yes, it is.
Then you're not participant?
Yeah.
Then you're not.
But we're not, there's nowhere else that requires a participating and do that, so that's gonna be on the host. Agreement anyways.
But you're either a participant or a not participant.
Yeah.
If you have an agreement but you're not getting paid, you're a non-participant.
That's how I would read it, that's, I mean, again, it's under the definition.
the wind says a participating property, real property, where the owner has a lease or other use agreement with the wind generating company. Non-participating is real property, not under lease or other use agreement with a wind generating company. So you're either under lease or you're not under lease. Or some type of an agreement.
It was, we're out in the law that defining statement you, what was it, why is it being defined? How is it being referenced?
Participating property? Probably. Noise.
Noise.
Yep, noise.
I think it goes back to this theory that the reason we have monitoring, if you're getting paid, you're closer, you're gonna be more tolerant on the noise levels or the setbacks or whatever it is.
And wouldn't you want to have ones that just have agreements without compensations? What Alabama put in there is we can help you pay, just was not you had agreements or leases or.
Couldn't make it exactly what the wind says.
How's that different?
The wind says that, it says participating property under wind says real property where the owner has a lease or other use agreement with a wind generating company. So we could just take out wind generating company and add battery energy storage system.
As would be consistent. Just, if they got an agreement and they don't want the money, that's up to them. Just sign something.
Or just same as without them.
I don't know, that's just an idea. They just went through this.
Yeah,
They
it's
did it all.
So it seems like it's using the same word, you know, they define the same.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
So the non-participating property in the wind law says, real property not under lease or other use agreement with a wind generating company. So we just call it energy storage company? You think, is there any disadvantage doing it that way? Anybody think?
So, the fact that we're changing it. I guess we're gonna change it.
We're gonna be changing it to try to make it consistent with our solar when we get to the part that talks about, what zoning districts it's allowed in. Right?
Yeah. No, I think it should be consistent with that. Definition between participating.
So there's,
On the model law, it says non-participating.
That's one of the words that they had on the news, so that's a tongue twister.
Non-raining resolution. Are just, ones that are raining property. They just say one's the opposite of the other, that's all. They don't try to go with lengthy.
our wind has a distinction between non-participating structures. In the model law for the battery from NYSERDA says non-participating residents. So should we just make it non-participating structure?
And it going to later in where it says where this is used in the rest of it, it's under noise. Noise, the 1 hour average noise generated from the battery energy storage system. Components and associated ancillary equipment shall not exceed a noise level of 60 dBA as measured at the outside wall of any non-participating. So again, it comes back, leave it as what that is, and then later on, define what you want to say. See what I mean?
Yep. So you're suggesting that we leave it like the NYSERDA says?
Well, no, I'm just suggesting not to add the statement in there about for outside of a building wall or anything like that, because where it's used later in the thing, it says the wall, I mean, it's used on noise, and it says, it just uses the definition, it uses the wording participating and non-participating.
Okay.
And the purpose of it is.
Yeah. So I guess the first definition is non-participating property. We're gonna change that to read exactly what the wind says. Except it's gonna refer to battery storage, right?
Mhm.
And then we got non-participating residents, but in our wind, we don't have any residents, we just call it structure. So are we gonna change it to structure then? We should be okay if we just change it to structure.
Because we have in here, any structure regularly occupied by a person or persons located on real property not under lease to or other use agreement with a wind generating company. So they just use structure versus residence. And they're defining structure as an occupied by a person or persons located on the property.
Yeah.
So if you want to be consistent, then we should go with structure.
Yeah, we'll change in the model law where it says residence, we'll make it structure, right?
Right, and the same wording that we have in the wind?
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, again, we didn't define these things in solar. These definitions weren't in our solar.
Anymore.
We had much more vague descriptions. So maybe we'll be changing that someday.
Yeah.
We didn't have a model law for that.
Okay, so,
And then participating property, we're gonna make that just like the wind, correct?
mhm.
And then non-participating structure, and then participating. We have one more in the wind that's a participant structure.
Right.
So do we want to add that too? Or is that going to burn us down the road as we go on talking about that?
If we don't use the word, well, we don't need to define it.
Yeah, you wouldn't think it's going to be in here,
They don't have.
Yeah.
I would stick to this structure.
so leave it out. Yeah.
The only reason we would add one is because we're going to use it somewhere else.
Yeah. So on the definitions, the only one we're changing is the fact that it's going to go from residence to structure, right? And the
And word it.
definition of
Yeah.
of them is going to change through our wind.
Right, right.
Yeah,
Is it
that-
right, Joker?
Now, these guys added, Alabama added what UL was, which is underwriter's laboratory and accredited standard developer of US. They do all the inspections for electric. So should we have that in there too?
Again, the definitions, is UL used anywhere else in the?
I think Alabama used it, when they talked about inspection.
So we plan on doing the same thing, and we probably use UL in this. We're not referencing UL anywhere in the law.
Yeah, it's our safety. You know,
That might have been added by the,
page 13.
You think what's in the model law?
UL, yeah, it's under, Gene said it's under safety, UL 9540. And UL 1973, 1647.
Yeah, I think a good idea to have it in.
yeah, that in.
I would say.
It's used in it.
We're just gonna make it exactly what Alabama has, right?
they had a definition for UL.
Yeah, they said UL, Underwriters Laboratory and Accredited Standards Developer in the USA.
Because we're all under definitions here, so.
Any problem with applicability? Just leave that wrong. Yeah. So, excuse me, issuance of permits and approvals by the, now we're gonna get into who's gonna approve it. So, we just went through this with the solar.
Do we have electrical permits? So it's required. Do we issue electrical permits?
We have electrical inspections. We have an inspector. If he puts a sticker on it, show he wants to see it.
That's part of the building permit, I think.
Yeah.
It's really-
Alabama.
If we don't issue them, then we should require.
Alabama just put in the building permit shall be required for installation of all battery energy storage systems.
Yeah, so we get into when we get into, that electrical permit could be for when you're in the city or, bigger municipal area. You gotta get a UL inspection.
Yeah.
And that's what allows the power company to tie in. Right?
Yeah.
So should we just say electrical inspection? Building permit, electrical inspection? Shall be required?
That makes sense. Seems fine.
You're in the way of that?
Yeah.
Okay, so now we gotta figure out who's gonna be the governing board for the permit. Because the next one's about that. In Alabama, they said it was permits and approvals by the planning board. But I guess we gotta decide, we gave the wind is town board with the recommendation of planning,
I think so.
and the solar is
Solars.
town board with the recommendation of planning.
Mhm.
So,
Those are for the, utility scale, right? Like, what would be considered tier 2? Would you want, does the planning board have, whatever board, be involved every time, every homeowner puts a battery in their house? It doesn't seem to differentiate.
well, we just changed some of this. No, we didn't change it. We just redefined it. Clarified it. Yeah, so freestanding or, this is solar, freestanding or ground mounted solar for residential use. And all districts are subject to the issuance of a solar building permit and for systems in excess of 25, site plan approval by the planning board is required.
No, town board is required with the planning board, that's what we're,
Well, that's
recommending.
Sorry.
Yeah.
So recommendation of planning.
Yep.
So do we wanna word this that for tier 1, that you just get a energy storage system building permit? And then for tier 2, it's recommendation of the town, provide recommendation of the town board.
Maybe something like this, A is building permits shall be required for all of them, okay? Right?
Mm-hmm.
And B, you make the additional claim, insurance, permits and approvals for tier 2 should be done by the town board with recommendations from the planning board. Put that in B as an added requirement for tier 2. Tier 1 and tier 2 is like A, building permits are going to be required regardless of what tier you are. B would be the added requirement for tier 2. Leave that.
well, our solar is giving approval by the town board with planning board recommendation for both the small and the large and solar. Both of those are the same.
That's not right.
Well, just what Tom read. This is smaller, freestanding or ground mounted solar for residential use.
Requires a permit, yes. Not approval by the town board.
That's what we have in there, that's what we're recommending. While in excess of 25.
Okay, that's like saying tier 2, you're above 25.
But then we have the uses shall be permitted, okay. Building permit and special use permit and a site plan approval. And it's the same town board with our recommendation.
Yep. So basically, good.
So later on in the packet, the model law here is also a model law building or a model law permit. And some of that is defined in here in the specific permit for the battery storage might be why they say, they just leave it up to, you know, define it as get a permit. So,
So you have any reference to tier 1, tier 2, and valid permit?
it's just tier 1. We haven't found tier 2 yet. Tier 1 is under, right under permits and approval on page 2. Because it says 600 kW or less.
You know, if you go down through on the model law, and look at 6, it defines what they, you know, they kind of decide, they kind of recommend what to do here.
Yeah.
Okay.
Tier 1 is exempt from site plan review.
Yeah. The kind of be a city town board.
But I still think you should point toward tier 2, not tier 1.
Well, 5 is outlining the general requirements, so look down at 6 and 7, it gets more specific as to what is required for each here.
And it doesn't. Still would be read as, whether regardless if you're tier 1 or tier 2. When I'm thinking tier 1, I'm thinking somebody wants to put a Tesla Powerwall in the garage, okay? So something you can buy for 7-8 grand and stick it on the wall of the garage. You're gonna have to go through approval by the town board.
No,
Why?
because issuance of permits and approvals by the town board. So if you get a project that's, which we're gonna define here in a minute, in tier 2, that goes to the town board. B says issuance of permits and approvals by the town board shall include review pursuant to the State Environmental Quality Act. So they're just making a statement there that when you get to that, that when a seeker is required, it's gotta be, the seeker's gotta be part of it. I think B's a statement really intended for a seeker. That's what I think. So with it.
I think you're interpreting it right. You gotta be included. You just put one required in that sentence.
Yeah, when applicable.
Yeah.
Would they say? Yeah, okay, so Alabama didn't, they put it on themselves. They put it on planning board, we're gonna put it on town board, right? Does everybody agree with that?
Yeah.
what do we wanna leave in the ECL article 8, the implementing regulations of 6, CCR, number 6, 17.
What's the question, Liz?
B, the last one between the block parentheses there. It's saying do something with that. Keep it, modify it. Where it starts after the environmental control or environmental quality review act. General requirements of the issuance of permits, right after we change that to town board shall include, at the end of that line, it has in brackets. ECL article 8.
Yeah, I know. You would think we're supposed to pick something there,
Yeah.
but Alabama
Just put the
did verbatim what they got.
Just keep it, just get rid of the brackets and.
They took the brackets out and put parentheses in place of the brackets.
Okay. Is that?
What does it all mean? Getting back to what's ECL Article 8, and it's implementing regulations at 6 NYCRR Part 1. What is, again, shoot.
It's all secret stuff.
Got the
State
secret
Environmental
part
Quality
there.
Review Act.
Is that what that means? 6 NYCCR, CR Part 617, that's a.
Environmental Conservation Law, Article 8, it's implementing regulations.
That better known as the seeker, is that what that means?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what I think.
That's what you think.
I'm going by what they're suggesting.
Okay, I don't think it does that, so now what I'm gonna do.
The seeker is part of the article.
Leave all that out and just put the word seeker in
Just
there.
put seeker maybe.
Or put the words that represent the acronym seeker.
So you want it where it starts off with ECL? Get rid of all that? And just put seeker?
I think that's what it's trying to say, right?
Okay.
Got that, Lee? Where it says Quality Review Act, period. Seeker in parentheses.
The words are all in. State Environmental Quality Review Act. Seeker. Or the acronym. That next, see?
Yeah. Yeah, that's the general statement, isn't it? Yeah, doing everything for code. Everybody okay leaving that alone? See?
Yes. You're gonna leave out the brackets on the very end here, or?
Yeah, that just says under town code.
filling.
So tier one, the small one
Residential.
is, if you compare that to the solar. In our solar, it says rooftop or building mounted solar system permitted in all zone districts. So we're allowing them in all zoning districts, which probably if you look at the wind, the small one in the wind is the same way, right? Is there any reason not to have them in all districts? Small ones? You just gotta get a battery energy storage permit, storage system permit.
So you just go to Shelley, you get one of those permits and you go put your Tesla wall in your basement and she says good and you're good, right?
Yeah. Right.
So
No matter what zone you live in. So the next one, tier two. Gotta have a special use permit. And then in solar, they're only permitted in the AR district. Subject to a solar system building permit and special use permit. Yeah, this statement doesn't talk about permit yet. This just talks about where it's allowed, right? Well, it does say special use permit.
That's probably why tier two is not in this permit. Require a special use permit. This must be only for tier one mountain permit.
So you wanna say the issuance of a battery energy storage system permit and a special use permit?
No, but the only reason I made comments is Wes was looking at this model permit. You couldn't see any reference for tier two, probably because you don't do one of these for tier two.
Oh, you only do a special use permit.
Yeah.
Well, we require in solar, we require a solar system building permit for a USSES. So we want to be consistent with that, or do we wanna be?
Special use permit in the building.
Is that what we got on our new zone?
Mhm.
I don't know what, I can't remember the change we made to that.
Let's see, that we made the change on that. Provide for uses as permitted use subject to a special use permit and a site plan approval. Uses shall be permitted only in AR districts subject to a solar system building permit and a special use permit and site plan approval. Wow. So they want all three. Building, special use, and site plan. Site plans.
So, does everybody feel we should keep it the same as the solar? Or do you wanna make it like the code, like the model law says?
What's the difference between the two? Why would we want one or the other?
The difference is that the model law just identifies a special use permit. And our current solar zoning identifies a building permit and a special use permit.
Is there such a thing as that, where you have a permit and a special use permit?
Yeah.
Good. A special use permit is your permit. Not sure about that one.
No, they didn't have building permits as well. Building is supposed to adhere to the building permit. And special use permit is a whole.
We reviewed a number of these special use permits. I've never seen them separated. Well, here's the building permit, and now here's the special use permit.
We never see the building permit.
Right,
You
it's,
never see the building permit. But when you look at the special use permit, it has all the drawings, all the diagrams, everything you would have if you were doing a building permit.
I don't think this is specific to the buildings.
Well, we don't, when we review a special use permit, we don't get into the, well, we usually don't get into the details of construction, like roof loading and truss spacing and things of that nature, because those things are all related to building.
Right. We just went through a special use permit for your stone quarry for the buildings you're building.
Yeah.
You had to do a building permit and a special use
Yeah.
permit? Okay. That's all.
If she wanted to see all the, she wanted to see the stud size, she wanted to see the roof, was the rafter size,
Where in the special use permit, you can go into that.
Most of our special use permits, there's a building already there. And we're okay to business. We're doing here.
Tom just clarified it, I mean, he just did it, so.
Yeah.
I didn't know.
So let's keep it consistent then.
so we're gonna make that,
Building permit, special use permit, and site plan.
and we're gonna have it in the AR district, right? Because that's where SSES is allowed, is in the AR district.
I mean, we won't entertain having it in the, what's our? See, we kept the solar out of the business district because we wanted it
Off the road.
off the road. Got a problem with that? Depending on how big this battery, this is, you're talking commercial battery now, not your business or your house or something. These places can get really big. Depending on how much storage. Think of them as you're stacking containers in boxes. Tie them all together.
Right.
Maybe you want them 500 feet off the road.
But is there a reason that we wouldn't want them in a business district?
It goes back to our same issue that we had before. Is there a plan to preserve the business districts for businesses and storefront, for all kinds of purposes, it's not just the business, but that's.
Like the one that's going on right now, where we got the garage, it must be by the road. And if we start taking up road space with container boxes full of batteries, that much less opportunities are for hair salon or whatever, I don't know.
That was our whole purpose of it, we were like, let's keep the storefront along the road. And I think that is, so I say we're consistent with that. I mean, you can make the case, and I guess that's what we have a special use. If you were to put in a business and use, and you were using this, and it's bigger than the 600, again, it's there to support, and the special use.
Be very,
It's variance, yeah. Not just container stuff or sale.
So I think to answer your question, Tom, I think we stay consistent. So,
So we're gonna make it AR then, right?
Yeah.
And then that statement is complete, then we're gonna leave everything else the same, that statement then, right? Site plan application requirements set forth in this section. And then it goes on to talk about the application. And then, so the first one, reviewed by the planning board for completeness. Right?
well, Alabama has.
I don't know about that 10-day thing.
Or
What's
bottom number 2.
bottom number 1? I don't know if we got any wording in our current solar related to how many days we get to review it.
It says applicants, Alabama says applicants shall be advised within 10 business days of the first planning board meeting on the application.
Wouldn't ours be 30 days or something? Again, this is here for some special use for that. Then take some action on it.
Like in the general code
We
for
asked,
special use permit.
remember we asked one person to withdraw before he completed it, so we could, there's some time frame when life is good, so we said, why don't you formally withdraw and come back to the next meeting? Present, because we're missing some key information. And all that.
So do we have to say anything about it here, if we just go back to the general?
You know, it's,
You think we gotta refer to it? We'll just let it be, or?
So I look at that sentence like the county does with our stuff. We send it to the county before it even goes to the planning board at county for review. It has to be in, and they review it in their office for completeness. And then we find out if it's complete or not, and it's rejected or kept for the meeting. Because it says, prior to substantive review would be by us at a meeting. You know, somebody's got to review it and make sure all the stuff is there before it even comes to.
Like Shelley.
Yeah, I was gonna say, because we only meet one time a month, so there's no way we could.
10 days, right? I say we gotta say something in there, but it's up to her on this particular sentence.
Doesn't it, you think that's what it's saying, that it has to get to her 10 days before our planning board meeting, so she can review it?
Right.
That's what it means,
Mm-hmm.
right?
I think that sentence is her getting back to them. The applicant shall be advised
Oh,
within 10 days.
yeah.
That's her getting back to them within 10 days of their application. Whether they meet all the criteria or not, so it can go to the board.
We got a bunch of timing verbiage in our regular zoning about special use permits.
Okay.
So this one here, like you said, is probably geared toward the county.
Well, it's geared not just the county, but town, similar to the way county treats us. County says, you know, send it to us and we'll get that back to you to tell you whether it's complete or not before we even accept it for the meeting.
Mhm. So shouldn't be any disadvantage leaving that in there. Just leave it the way it is.
Yeah,
I think so, yeah.
that would be good.
It's kind of putting the, if I read it right, Wes is putting a time constraint on Shelley.
Right.
What's wrong with that?
Alabama put it on the planning board. Alabama says applicants shall be advised within 10 business days of the first planning board meeting on the application of the completeness.
Or any deficiencies that must be addressed prior to substantive review.
So they opened it up possibly even more. They're not saying that the planning board is going to tell them that it's complete or not. But somebody like Shelley is gonna tell them whether it's complete or not before the planning board meeting.
Mhm.
I think that's a good way to put it.
I like that better, because that leaves the whole month open.
Yeah.
They could put it in,
That's kind of the way we do it now.
yeah, they could put it in 20 days earlier. But she needs to get back to them within that 10 days.
She needs at least 10 days.
Before it comes to us. Yeah. How's that?
I say we go with Alabama's wording.
Applicant shall be advised within 10 business days.
That's 2 weeks. residence, so you know,
And that's about the public hearing though.
that how, what's our rules for public hearings? Is it consistent?
I think so. Lee, are you looking at, what are we? We're 10 days.
You're 10 days, yeah. Zoning is 5.
And then all landowners within 200 feet, is that consistent with our
500.
Right, it's 500.
500? I want to change that.
With ours is 500 property. So you may live a mile away, but you have property within 500 feet. Correctly?
I'm not sure how it's totally done.
Well, I know
Shelley?
around my block, I mean, I'm a mile away, but my property goes right up to the house. I get a letter.
Shelley gives the list or the address to Barry. Barry gives me the list. How he comes up with it, I don't know.
Yeah.
So the joining land owners,
Or landowners within. Yeah, it is landowner property. 500.
Well, they have in here at least 5 days in advance of such hearing. We need to have 10 days there, right?
Yes.
And it has to be mailed to the owners 10 days prior. Okay.
So on number 2, we're just changing the feet from 200 to 500 feet.
Right.
From the Alabama one.
And the newspaper circulation at least 10 days in advance, not 5.
Are we, on the Alabama one, and the number 1, are we going with their whole,
Yeah, we're using their wording.
the wording is the same as the bond.
so what's something different between the 2 somewhere, I forget where.
Tell me that.
We're on the last page now.
I second that.
She means again will be gone.
Got that on camera?
Thanks for reminding me about the camera.
I think we got a pretty good start here.
Yeah.
Is anybody interested in continuing another night? Or you want to keep going?
What have we got going on for our meeting?
We got 2 potential
Yeah,
modifications of special use permit. Bill is one, and who's the other one?
it's Quill and, I can't remember her name.
Oh,
Sherman.
Sherman.
Oh, with the building there next one. But as of today, there wasn't anything, they didn't have anything yet. they got until April to get to them, so.
That possible zoning or law change too. You wanted to bring that up.
For the, what's that?
Oh, the 29th? Oh,
No, what I was talking with you
Oh,
before.
yeah. We need to read that before we.
See changes?
No, it's something that will be coming from the state, so we just need to
Oh,
talk about it.
Yeah.
It's not in writing yet. Oh, and there's the, you mentioned, the training opportunities on the 20th. There's two of them.
Yeah.
One in Boone County, the other one in Genesee County, put on over $5.
yeah.
In person?
No, there's Zooms.
Oh, good.
So how many of those Zooms do we have to do to get 4 hours? Are they an hour apiece?
That one, the one in Broome County is an hour and a half, you get an hour. The one in Genesee is an hour and a half, you get an hour and a half.
We did get a pass, from the town board for this year.
I think it was
For
for
last year.
Last year,
I went last year.
2020. Good try.
Try again.
For the next 5 years.
Yeah, but Gene and I had points accumulated that we can use this year.
We give them a choice.
We had a couple.
We give them a choice, waive the training or do your own solar energy.
So I got a suggestion. Why don't we finish doing 3 and 4 and utility and B, and that gets us down to signage.
Okay.
Finish this section. Let's just go.
Was there anything on 2 that was,
Just change it.
The feet, we changed the feet.
And we changed the number from, it says at least 5 days in advance, we changed it to 10.
10 of mine.
Yeah, on the mountain law. Alabama was fine.
Read up there further.
No,
It's
read
the
up, go
beginning
further.
part.
up top, midway, left side?
Oh. That's
Yeah.
right.
Who are you putting for the review?
Planning, I think we decided planning board on that, right?
Alabama left that all out.
He left it out.
Perfect time.
Three, we just leave county planning board in there.
On 2, just back on 2, it's like the notice in the newspaper, would we be doing that or would the town board?
Probably me, if we're doing it.
Okay.
But when would it be done? At the review?
What you've done in the
Oh,
past, you've reviewed it, then you set the public hearing.
Yeah, this is in advance of the hearing.
Yeah.
The planning board. Well, that's a good point. We want to make count, we already said that the USSES, they're gonna initiate the notice and they're doing the whole deal on the USSES, right? All we're doing is making a recommendation. So are we, if we're gonna have this tier 2 be the same as the solar USSES, that's gotta be town board.
Right.
So that review board in number 2 gotta be town board, right? Yeah.
it would probably be Maureen, but could be me doing it too, because they changed their system.
Yeah, I didn't mean you, I meant the planning board. Jurisdiction was the town board, we're making it the same. We don't need that, in number 3, we don't need that if required, it's required here. Right?
It's always required.
I don't know when it wouldn't be, do you? Well,
Either.
Well, what if they were gonna put it in no. The only time it goes to the county right now is if it's on county road or state road.
Yeah,
So I guess we should
If
leave
they
it.
wanted to go on the town road, they wouldn't have to.
Gotta go special use permit.
Yes, yeah, so it is, it still would have to go to business special use.
So it's not if required.
Don't we?
You could leave it, just leave it, if required.
Yeah, we,
There's a catch-all.
Yeah, if required.
Can't go wrong there.
the town board's gonna, number 4, the town board's gonna take action, right? 60 days.
Yeah.
And hopefully that's, after this back from the, or the county planning board too. Because they'll have the public hearing before it goes to county planning.
Now, should we, in any of these 1 through 4, should we be using the wording that we did in the solar, which is with the recommendation of the planning board and final approval by the town board? 'Cause we don't have that anywhere in here.
I was assuming that.
So we worded that wherever it says where we put town board, we're with the recommendation of the planning board.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
You got that, Lee? So we're done with 4 then, right?
Yeah.
Place to stop?
Everybody likes peace, so we can just be done with that thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So maybe work on this at the regular meeting? Is that what we got, Mike?
Kind of nice to be able to focus on
mhm.
other stuff. That law that Lee sent us an article on is related to the, well, it's a bill that's not approved yet, but it's proposed, right?
It was in the potato paper sometime this week.
We have to provide 24-hour written notice with all the documents we're gonna have at our meeting. before the meeting.
24 hours in advance, at least.
So if we were gonna have the town of Alabama's battery storage law, we're gonna go through it. We're supposed to put that online 24 hours prior so that every person in the public that wants to see it while we're talking about it, can do it, right?
It's the meetings and workshops. Might be a gray area there.
It might be, but any application that comes in would have to go through. And I'm leery of doing it with signatures. I would not want to have people's signatures out where they can come back.
Any way you can black that out?
I could probably put X's and put a name underneath,
Yeah.
type it in. But identity theft is what I'm thinking. Very good possibility of it happening.
When's our moratorium run out on the battery storage? So we got till,
Well, we had 6 months and we can extend it, but I thought it. Yeah,
Was it December? October.
I would think 2 more sessions ought to be enough.
It was signed in December to go to county.
Well, it's not just a matter of us doing it, then it has to go be checked out, so it's gonna be a couple months from there.
Yeah.
So until June.
We need a German here.
sure, need a motion for adjournment.
I make a motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
That's a very good.
Thanks.
Yeah. Is Sean coming around pretty much every day?
Tuesday, right now, it'll be Tuesday, Thursday, probably. Because he has to take it for running.
Big eyes set up in the booth. Does he? Yeah.
I haven't heard anything actually about the solar.
Yeah, from what I've been reading, they
Still a thing?
Possibility now.
They even said what the guys in Akron,
Yeah.
like stand on top
The
of the
section
tractor.
we gave, it goes always there.
Another 10, 12 feet off the ground.
Never been.
Yeah, it probably don't need to be that high, but you want them up off the ground.
Yeah.
There's something about them preferring elevated.
They want to be up off the ground for water
Electric bill has that,
and just
for the whole
up
house.
out of predator area. Yeah,
Safety act.
yeah, so they said that's what this first place the
Makes sense to have.
scouts look for. They scout high spots, if they can't find anything, they just bring it down. Well,
So,
Hey, see you later, guys.
see you.
have a good night. And they said, don't put your big boxes less than